This is how I create a podcast on Adobe Audition. It's relatively simple, but you need to follow the following things that I do, and it will all work out for you. First, this is the base of Adobe Audition. We now need to open up a couple of files. What we're going after now, we're going to open here, and we're going to look for open and closing music for our podcast. These are the two files I'm going to use for open and closing music. And here they are. The next thing we're going to do is put them in their place. Let's go, if we can, first to multi-track. Now there's two multi-tracks you're going to notice. There's one right here, and there's one right here. We're going to start with the black multi-track, the one that's in black. We're going to hit that, and we're going to name this as Fun 1. I don't know why, but seemed like a good idea. Fun 1. And now you see all of these tracks. These are multiple tracks. This is a track, this is a track, that is a track. They go down for a long ways. We're going to take our opening music and we're going to place it into the first location. Then what we're going to do now, by the way, did you see how I did that? I reached over here and grabbed it and moved it over to there. Very simple. Now we want to fade the music out as we're talking. So it's very important. This goes on for 60 seconds. We want to fade it in. So we're going to come over. You see this little box right here? We're going to grab this box and watch the yellow line. See the yellow line? That is actually fading the music in. You can fade it in slowly. You can fade it in quickly. You can fade it in. You can move this around. We want to fade it out relatively quickly. Now, we're going to record our podcast in this section right here. In order to do that, we need to come over here to this box, and we need to push this for R. That means we can record our podcast right there. Now, what I'm going to do now is a very abbreviated form of my Ask the Garden Geek podcast. So I'm going to show you how I do this. What I do first is I come down here. This is a play button. When I push the play button, you will be able to hear the music that is playing up top. When I get to the section of the music that I think I need to start talking in, which is going to be right around here, by the way, right around here. The music is going to fade down to right around here. Then I'll start talking. But when I start talking, I need to push this button right here, which is the record button. So let's start this up and see how it works. Now, you'll notice the music is playing. I'm waiting for that to get right about here. It's getting there. Now I'm going to start talking. Watch. See what happens. And welcome to this edition of Ask the Garden Geek. My name is Michael Kroos. I am the chief geek in charge here at Ask the Garden Geek, and what we talk about every week are your botanical buddies. I answer your emails. I come up with all kinds of new technologies that are coming out in gardening, and we talk about them. I got an email from a lady that just today, she wanted to know about how to buy plants at a nursery. What to look for? Well, I'm going to get into that real quickly and tell you one trick. They sell plants in nurseries that they grow first at wholesale nurseries, and then they take them to the stores where you buy them, be it Home Depot or Lowe's or your local nursery. Let us say you want to buy magnolia trees, and you want to buy them in very small containers, the 1-gallon containers. Well, at nurseries, they put those 1-gallon containers, they're made of a very flexible plastic. The first thing I would suggest to you to do, well, you want to look at the plant and make sure it looks nice, but here's the next part. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. I want you to grab a hold of the base of the plant, and I want you to pull it out of that plastic container. And then I want you to look at the roots. If you see roots that are coming out and going around and they're brown, you want to avoid that plant. The perfect root structure in a nursery plant is going to have white roots that are just barely turned. That is the optimal time to buy that plant, because it will be the optimal time to plant that plant in your soil. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening to Ask the Garden Geek. And then I stopped, and there I did it. Now, this is my conversation right here. Now, let's very quickly add the closing music to this. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab it. And this one is a 30-second version of the first one. And I'm going to pull it over here and I'm going to set it there. But you see, on this case, what I want to do is I want to fade that music up. I want to start with nothing and fade that music up to where it wraps up the episode. So I grab that bar there, and again, you can do it gradually or you can do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. I want to have a nice slice to it. Let's listen to it and just see if it worked out okay, shall we? Now you listen to the end. Roots that are just barely turned. That is the optimal time to buy that plant because it will be the optimal time to plant that plant in your soil. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening to Ask the Garden Geek. And you see, it faded up really nice and it goes all the way to the end and it wraps up very nicely. So here's our podcast. We did it right there. By the way, this little thing here is what I call the cursor. You can move it around and listen to any section of the podcast that you want to. See, there you go. You can just move it around. You can actually hear it when you move it. Okay? So now that's done. The next thing we need to do very quickly is we need to mix this down to a single file. Let's do that. It's real simple. Now we're going to go up to the multi-track in the white area. Okay? See? The multi-track in the white area. We'll click that and it's going to mix down session to new file, and we want to do the entire session. And there it is, right there. And notice it's in stereo right now. Okay, there's two things there. But in order to upload this to our podcast host, we need it as a mono file. So we go up here to the edit. See the edit section? And we hit that, and we go extract that to a mono file. So now we've done that, and there's our file. All in mono, ready to go. Now we're going to save this. Okay, we're going to save this as, and it's called Fun1 Mixdown. And we're going to save it to our desktop, and it's a WAV file. WAV files are the biggest and most advanced audio files that they are. Record albums are produced on it. So now we're going to save it. And now we're going to go see if it is actually on our desktop. And we will look for it. Really good. Fun1 Mixdown. There it is. But we're not done yet. We have to, if you looked at the file, and here, let's take another quick look at the file. The file needs leveling out. It is jagged in some areas, and the voice is low in some areas. It's high. We need to level it all out. You can do that in this program, but it takes a long time and a lot of skill. There's a program that is available for free on the internet. Just look for it. It's called the Levelator. And here it is. Okay, now we're going to take Fun1 Mixdown and we're going to drag it into the Levelator. Watch the Levelator once it accepts it, okay? It's very quickly leveling it all out, which is good. Now it's done. And then it's formed another file. Okay, and that other file, if we can find it here, is right there. It is the Fun1 Mixdown. There it is. But it is, what does it look like? It is called an output file. And we like output files. Those are good. So let's go back to Adobe Audition because now we have to look at it. Here's our original file. Now we're going to go up here to Open, and we're going to open up the Fun1 output file that Levelator has now created for us. So let's open that up and take a look at it. See the original file? Now here it is, all leveled out. And it's now ready to go. And now we're almost done. We're going to do this very quickly. We're going to go over and we're going to hit the file and we're going to save it as, and we're going to call it something different. We're just going to call it pots, because I talked about the pots on there. We're not talking about that pot, we're talking about another. We're going to save it to the desktop, but it needs to be an MP3 file so we can upload it to our hosting company. So we're going to take this and we're going to change this to MP3. Now it's being saved as an MP3. That is a compact file that is easy to upload. And there it's done. And that is how, and it's on our desktop as an MP3 ready to go. I hope this has been an easy explanation on how to use this. You might have to look at it a couple of times, but I took it step by step. Thank you so much.